So to start with, we had this talk yesterday by Steve Wade, who said that to strike a good impactful conversation, you're not supposed to start with how are you or what do you do. So I want to ask you, have you been working on anything exciting recently, Filip?
Yes, so that's a good question, and that's why I have my computer here. This week I did two things that I think are exciting. The first one is, so I do a lot of contract work these days, and there's a company that does brain implants for people who can't move their limbs and stuff like this. And they have a Flutter app for like learning the AI model that they use to actually like learn what the brain needs to do. Anyway, so they needed to have, their app needs very low latency. There's this thing on iOS, some of you may know about it. Even like if you have like the best iOS device there is, M4 Pro, whatever, Air, there's like 4 frames of delay between like writing, like executing your UI code and the pixels changing on the screen. That is true for Swift, everything basically. And so they need to have it as short as possible because they need to learn what the person is thinking at the moment that you show them something. So the lower that is, the better. And today, or I mean this week, I got it working. Like I shaved off 2 of those 4 frames. It's possible to shave it to 1 frame of delay, which is like the limit, right? You can't, like, you'd have to, I don't know how we would do the same frame. But yeah, so that was exciting. I can't show that because NDA. But the other thing that I did was, so I am working on my game, and it's called Giant Robot Game, and I implemented radioactivity in the game, which is, I just love it. So this is a game about, like, you know, being a giant robot and going around, and I just want to very quickly, wait a minute, sorry. None of this makes sense to you, but that's okay. I just want to show you something. So I hope that we'll talk a little bit about the game, but my main thing here, yeah, thanks, is that you need to have many tactical options, right? So you can do things like, I don't want to be visible, blah, blah, blah. I want to, I don't know, deploy a mine over here, and so on and so forth. And now you can use nukes, which is something that I enjoy immensely. And they like leave radioactivity, and then everything explodes, and it's amazing. So anyway, so that was my week. I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, thanks for asking. I'll go back to this. All right.
I love to see you light up like that at the beginning. I want to go a little bit back first. I'm seeing all the questions coming. Thank you, guys. You are actually a journalist, and you also studied Asian studies. You were the only student at the university with that kind of curriculum.
Yep.
And you went to Japan.
Yep.
So how does engineering come into the mix? How does a journalist become an engineer?
So my career has many plot twists. I have, when I was in high school, it was basically like smooth sailing to become a programmer. I knew about programming, I was good at it, and that was like, you know, I kind of assumed that that's what I would do. And then my father said, you should become a programmer. I was 15, so I was like, no way, no. I'm going to do something else. And so I'm simplifying here, but I said to myself, no, I want to do something else. I always wanted to write, so I tried to become a journalist. I didn't get to the school at first, so I went to a programming school, and second times was the charm, so I got to journalism, but even in the journalism university, I still my dissertation was about YouTube, which was a new thing at the time. I was basically scraping.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So so I switched this to that, but then I kind of circled back to engineering, and I think in a sense it wasn't planned, but in a sense it helped because I had both these things in me. On one hand, I still don't know how to speak, but I know how to communicate, and on the other hand, I understand something technical deeply, and so a lot of my career is basically explaining difficult things to smart people, including most of the time it's explaining APIs to programmers.
Still a long journey to being fourth employee of Google. So can you fill us in? There's a giant puzzle missing.
Yes. So 2008, I was trying to start a startup, which was a disaster.
Was it about?
No.
No, not relevant.
No. Well, yeah, it was basically kind of pay-per-click something, terrible idea. But I got to understand search engines. I was giving lectures, and at the time, Google started to have a presence in the Czech Republic. It was an interesting market back in the day because it was one of the few countries in the world where Google wasn't the default search engine. Everywhere else, the market share for Google was 95%. And here, I would go out and say I work at Google, and people would be like, "What? What come?" Yeah, exactly. So that was interesting, and yeah, I got into Google. I was in a very low position.
How did you get? So nobody wanted, so you got in, or?
Oh yeah, it was also interesting. So suddenly I got a call, and it's like, "Hello, this is Google. We want you to work for us." And I was like, okay, this is a scam. And so I wrote on a forum does everyone else also get this scam from Google? And they were like, no. I'm like, okay, shit, this is true. This is real. And yeah, so I think the thing was that I think they found me through LinkedIn. I still don't know exactly, but I was one of the few people who understood what they wanted. Want me to, and so I got through the whole, interview process, which was also interesting. And then they hired me.
Can you shortly paint us a picture of what Google was back then? Because it's probably hard to imagine.
Yeah, so first of all, you have to understand this is 2008. So this is before Android, before Chrome. Before cloud, I think. I don't know. So this was very different time, and again, Google was an unknown here a little bit, but of course not for me at the time. So there is still an article out there where someone interviewed me at the time, and they were asking all these questions like, how is it to be at Google, blah blah blah. And the headline to this day is Filip Hráček, Google Czech is a startup, which is not what I said.
I found it yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See? And a lot of people just read that headline and they were like, Jesus Christ, this is, it sounds stupid, and it is, but I didn't say it. And of course, people got angry. This was my first taste of what, the internet is like. Because people got mad at the headline that I didn't say. What I was trying to say, if you actually read the interview whole, I said, in a sense, I really enjoyed Google in the first years, and later also. But in the first years, it was special because you had the best of both worlds. On one hand, you were at a big, very wealthy company with global presence. All the things were there, all the operations and so on and so forth. you could travel, blah blah blah. So that was fantastic on one hand, and at the same time, in Google Czech, there was like just a few of us. We were working at a shared, workspace with, other companies around us. It was like we had a lot of freedom because, like, literally, there was no like, okay, so you're this, so you just do this. No, like we couldn't work like that because there was 4 of us and it was a whole like product suite, right? So we were launching like Android, for Czech Republic. And so, so all that kind of made this feel a little bit like a startup, but obviously it wasn't. The other thing that I liked about that time is that the sense of ownership was really strong across the company, not just in the Czech Republic. So someone came to me and had a problem that had I had no business with dealing, and then instead of just saying, well, that's not my problem, all of us would be like, oh shit, we have to like deal with this. So I emailed someone like in Mountain View, and they would be like, yeah, we need to deal with this. And so this was like a very, very again startup-y feeling where people own the shit and they actually care. And at the same time, it was a big company with money. So yeah.
We could probably spend the whole interview just going through the 10 years that you spent there before you decided to make the internal shift to go to the US.
Right.
But I will jump there, and I want to ask you, can you walk us through your, like, how did you score that transfer, or how, look at it from the point of view of maybe somebody in the audience or listening to this, maybe they are in the similar role, they want to move abroad,
right.
How to network, how to how to become that valuable person.
Yes. So, my first word of advice is be somewhere 10 years and be very good at it, and then especially be very lucky to be at a company that has a headquarters somewhere else. But now that you mention it, I think one thing that I did was, so there's this saying where you're good at something at work, you will get more of that work, right? Yes. So I always made it a point to not only be good at what I'm doing and what I'm required to do, but also have something next to it where I'm becoming better at something that I'm not working on right now, but I would like to work on it. So for a long time, I was doing this like Google stuff, and then just like, regional, going to conferences, stuff like this. But also on the side, I really got involved with Dart, the new programming language at the time, and not Flutter because it didn't exist, but Dart. And instead of just like, giving a couple of talks and stuff like this, I actually like really dug deep into it, even though it had no, like, I did this in my spare time. It had no bearing on my actual career at the time, right? But when there were some, I got involved with kind of this space, and so sooner or later an opportunity occurred, and they said like, hey, do you want to switch teams to Dart? And I was like, yes. And so we decided as a family to move to the United States, and so that's what we did.
I see. Was there anything else that you had to, I don't know, had to do, or?
Right. So you mean to get the
Yeah, because there's probably I'm looking for a word for tender. You have to apply for a position and you have to,
Right. Yes. So that's even more interesting, I think, because if you go to the US today, or the many years ago when I did, you actually have to prove to a bureaucrat somewhere that the company can't find anyone in the whole of United States that they could hire to do the work that you do. So, and it's not that hard. Like you don't need to like actually go talk to all 300 million Americans and ask them if they, if they can do your job. But you have to be pretty persuasive. So that's a visa process for the US, and you have to do it every 2 years if you want to stay. So you kind of like, it helps to be able to say like, hey, I'm probably one of the few who do this and this, and so you have to kind of put a deck for yourself, or like a pocket. They call it a packet. It's like 100 pages maybe. But if you're in a company and they want to use you and to move you somewhere, they will help. So Google did help, obviously, and it took, I don't know, like 3 months, and it was done. And they were very positive that it'll happen clearly. So it wasn't. So
it was more like they, like on their side, you didn't have to influence anybody in the organization. It was more like the.
Oh yeah, so they knew me, right? So that's the thing. Like when you're in a company and you have been helping selflessly one part of the company and being very active there and so on and so forth. When they have a position, they're like, that would be cool to have this guy or girl, and so there wasn't like I'm sure there were other people who were interested in the position, but I already kind of was a known quantity to them. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so how is working for a big IT company in their actual headquarters in Silicon Valley different to working for them in a startup-y Central Europe?
Yes. So on one hand, it's much more corporate-y than here because you have, Mountain View is tens of thousands of people, so it's big. Just the campus at Google, and so that's kind of the bad part. But the good part is, I love the quote. Okay, I'm gonna go around a little bit. So there's this game designer, Shigeru Miyamoto. Does that ring a bell? The Super Mario, Legend of Zelda. Yeah, he did all these. So he's like the game designer in the world. He works for Nintendo, and they ask him, "Why do you still work for Nintendo after like all these decades? You could work for anyone. You could like." People would just like pay you, through the nose to have you. Why are you still at Nintendo? And he said, because of the money. But not the money that they pay me, but the money that they can invest in the games that I make. Nintendo is possibly they can really spend the money. And so that's how I explain Mountain View or like Silicon Valley and headquarters and stuff, is that you want to be there not because of the money that they give you, because you spend the money for rent and shit like that, but because of the money that they can invest in stuff that you can work on. So it was great to be working on, in my case, Dart and Flutter, which is something that has huge impact around the world, and almost no other company has the kind of money that they could spend on an open source project of this magnitude for years, and still, improving. There were things like, like people, they hired a whole user experience team just to get the developer experience right, which nobody does because it's super expensive. But they have the money, and so like you can be part of that. So I think that's the cool part.
And is there anything specific that comes to mind? You spent how many, 5 years there?
Yes.
Yeah, so in those 5 years, anything specific, like a project or anything that comes to mind that you really like value to this day, like, oh, that's something I learned there or did that, that's the shit we did there?
Yeah, there are some things that I, unfortunately, are still kind of probably NDA material. I can't talk about them, and these are the most cool ones, so I'll keep them for, you know, when we do this in 80 years or something. And I love that, like you get to see the failed experiments as well as the one that get out there. But what I learned during the 5 years, yeah, it's hard. 5 years is a lot, so I'll think about it, but I don't have anything, sorry.
I also want to ask you, because you have been a community guy since 15, as you're saying, and into game development and programming and stuff like that. So was the IT community life any different there? Did you have how was that? And is it really true? Like, was it like the sitcom? How is that sitcom called? Silicon Valley, right?
Right. Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen that, but yeah. So I see the disappointment. No, but oh yeah, the community. So one thing that I want to say is. One cool thing about the community life in Silicon Valley is that it seems like the communities there give themselves permission for their events to suck more, which is good, which is actually good. So look at it this way. If you go to a meetup here, you have free pizza, there's a presentation, there's some, you know, networking time, you know, like a game maybe or something like that, which is great. It's great. If you go to a meetup, like the first time I went to IGDA, Independent Game Developers Associations in Silicon Valley, meetup, it was just like you get to a bar and there's some blokes at the bar and they're like, hey, and that's it. That's the event, right? But then, like, people, because there is no other thing, and you don't get free pizza or anything, people will, oh, look at my stuff, and so they will open their, you know, PC and they will show you something that they work on, and so it's more you kind of have to do it yourself, and I think that's great. I think we could learn from that. But of course, also keep keep the pizza, keep the structured ones as well. But I think it's okay if you just like basically meet a couple of people at a coffee shop and have no agenda, and it still works. The thing is, though, you have to it is easier to get people to talk in a place like Silicon Valley because almost everyone is an immigrant, and immigrants know that they have to make friends. So they are more likely to kind of go through that pain of actually, you know, get out there and say hi and stuff like this. So it just works in, like, you can just throw people in a place and they will start communicating. While if I see it more myself when I'm back here and I go to a pub, I don't talk to like random people. That would be weird. So I don't know if it is something that we can take away. But yeah, I think I like that vibe, and actually there are some communities here in the Czech Republic that kind of are on that same space. So yeah.
Interesting. And you are all about community as well. You are big also with DevFest. You've been here many years. You've been active with the Google community, GUG as well. Would you say, what is it about going to meetups actively? Even now, you have a family. You know, and you were a busy guy. So, what is it, and why maybe belong to more than one? Because you've been cross community as well.
Yeah. Well, I think in a sense, this is why, by the way, I keep being a big supporter of Flutter as a tech, but also a community, because it has a really great community. There's a guy who talks today, or have talked today, Ilias, and he told me how his father, he was like in a military and he was looking for a career, and his father told him, well, you know what, something about the IT world is that people are really friendly and they are nice to each other and they share knowledge, as opposed to many other careers, right? So
Marketers.
yeah, I guess. Yeah. I think that's fantastic, and I see a lot of value in it. And to be honest, you know, at the end of the day, you spend at least 8 hours a day doing some things with the computers, and you kind of, I guess, having a community around it and having people who are friendly is then therefore a big part of your whole life, right? Like if you're in finance, I don't know anything about finance, but I imagine that there maybe are people that are not so friendly to each other. Even if you have more money, I think that would make your life as a whole maybe not as enjoyable, I think. So yeah. Anyway, so I like when there's friendly communities and when I can just like talk to people. And I'm saying this as someone who's not very outgoing myself, but it's just how it works.
How did you know it was time to come back to Czech? How did you navigate that decision?
Yeah, so we went there for like 2 years as an exercise in getting experience, and then we were there, and then of course like 2 years passed, and we were like, oh my God, we didn't do anything, you know, like 2 years just. So we always said another year, another year, another year, and then at some point it was like we started meeting people who were in Silicon Valley for 30 years, and they all said, yeah, we also came for 2 years. So we're like, oh shit, so this might very well be like our end stop, like maybe that's our life forever. And Silicon Valley is great. It's especially great if you have a little bit of workaholism about you, but it is not great for other things. And so we had this decision in front of us of like, do we want to spend the rest of our lives here? We had a kid who was elementary school age at the time, and so we're like, maybe we want to go back. And I think we were very happy with the move. So it worked out. Yeah.
And how still maybe is it for you working for a wealthy organization? From like that to building your own things and doing your own YouTube in like a garage style kind of. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that has been a big success. So I think so. I always, of course. Okay, let me start again. When you're in a big wealthy organization like Google, you get to. You get used to some luxuries, not just Google. I think everywhere, you know, like if you go work at an organization like this, sooner or later you will be able to like, you know, go to a nice hotel and fly. Not economy, whatever that is now. But I never flight business. But anyway, so. And it's very hard. It's very easy to get used to luxuries, and it's very hard to kind of let go. It's actually a psychological thing where we are way more sad if we lose something than we are happy when we get it. You know. So I was pretty. I tried hard to not get too used to stuff. So even if like Google would pay me for a hotel, I would stay at like Airbnb or something. And saving money for the company, but also saving my own, just humbleness, I guess, or some, or like ability to survive in the real world. So that's what I did. When I came back, instead of micro kitchenettes and free coffee and delicious food every day, it was just like me and a old communist building, and in there like a small office. But it turns out it was actually exciting for me, because it was like a new thing, back to basics, and also working on my own stuff. So it worked out. But yeah, I think a lot of people kind of, even including me, are in this train of like, obviously 2 years from now, I will work and live in more comfort than I work and live today, right? It's like, of course, I will get better, I will make more money, or I will save money, and then I will have a nicer apartment, blah, 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 blah. But if you do that your whole life, then it's kind of like, I don't think it makes your life that much better if you're comfortable. But if you do something interesting and worth your time, in the end, is more valuable, and you're more happy from that, I think.
Got it. And so since then, you've had enough time to develop 2 games, or like ship one and one you still showed us. Can you quickly tell us about them, the idea about, or maybe your values around game development? And I see we have quite some questions from the gaming realm, so we'll get into them.
Yes. So I was still actually in the US when I launched the first game. It's a text game called Knights of San Francisco, and it's different in that it's a simulation, even though it's a text game. So I wanted to give the player the ability to like really do crazy things. So in this game, like you are actually, has anyone played this? Who's here? Just you? Okay. Oh, 3. Okay. So anyway, it's you can you're fighting someone, and then you can like slash off their arm. It's all in text, right? So and then you pick up the arm and use it as a club to beat them, stuff like this. I find it funny and also interesting. So it was the game was, in this sense, it was very weird, and that seems to be one way to success in doing anything. So it was actually well received, and I always try with this game and the next that I'm working on now to make it a little, like, to give it more than just fun. So on the surface, it's just, this Knights of San Francisco is just a dungeon crawler with fights and simulation and magic, blah, 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 right? But on the other hand, it's also this weird text game about like death and it's all black and white, and you read a lot. So it gave me an opportunity to work on a game, which was like my first. That's why I started programming, is to work on games, but also to not work on a game that is just kind of like a time killer, but also is about something. So that's what I did with Knights of San Francisco, and now the Giant Robot game is also on the surface, and I hope that for many people it will just be good fun, but I'm injecting some things in there that might be more interesting. And so that's, you can only really do this if you're a solo game developer. You can't do it if you have many people and their families to feed, and you have to be like, okay, this game needs to be super sexy and very colorful and not too much, text and stuff like this. Yeah.
Got it. And I see a question here. Can we put the Slido? What sort of cyber implant would you get if it was almost safe?
Okay. Well, are we talking today's technology or Iron Man? Future. All right. Extended memory, ability to get, maybe photographic memory or something like this. That's my Achilles heel. I forget stuff a lot. Yeah. So yeah.
Have you ever worked on a project which to the outside world was boring, but to you was just exciting?
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is one of the things that I kind of is a recurring theme for me is like boring and boredom. I think if you give yourself permission to do boring stuff, this is actually really good for you. First of all, I think there's actually a talk about this today about like.
Can I borrow you? Yeah.
So, and it is again like a psychological thing where like if people don't get bored, they are more anxious and depressed and blah blah blah. But also, it turns out that if you do something that's fun, a lot of other people probably are trying to do it as well. But if you do something that's boring and like hard and frustrating, then you're probably one of the few people who do it, and then you can have a good career out of it. So, for example, a lot of people would say maybe that performance is like trying to optimize something is boring. Why would you rather not, add a new feature and stuff like this? But it turns out that a lot of apps suck in this term, and so there's a lot of hunger for people who actually know how to do performance right. And then again is good for your career, but also in the end it's not boring because I didn't show you, but like the thing that I did this week for the brain implant company, I wouldn't be able to help them if I wasn't happy to go into some really boring stuff.
Got it. There's also one more question, but I will probably jump to this. How did you cut those 2 frames for UI rendering? Do you have any article about it?
No article, but there's a GitHub issue I can share. So basically, there is. So iOS does its own compositing. So if you do let's say you have, even in Swift, but also in Dart, you say, I want this UI, right? You send it to the GPU or whatever, and then iOS is architectured in a way where it receives these calls, and then it needs to composite them with the other UI. So one easy way to lose one frame, or like to gain one frame, to make the latency one frame shorter, is to go full screen. So if you can go full screen, just to go full screen, and the iOS will be like, okay, I don't need to composite anything anymore. Cool. Then the other thing is, with Swift and Swift UI, you're screwed because you can't do it. But with Flutter, there is an option in info plist where you can say, use metal layer false. And if you do this, it will save another frame because you go from triple buffering to double buffering. So it's literally like 2 lines of code. But it took me, like 2 months because I tried everything. I was like, anyway, I don't want to bore you, but yeah, it's this easy, and it's 2 frames.
I'll try one more, then we have to, continue in the hallway. Is it true that your robot game is made in Dart? If so, what engine did you use? Is it Flame or maybe Unity Wrapper?
Yep, it's in Dart, it's in Flutter, in Flame, so Flutter. I don't use Flame very much, but like I don't use all the bells and whistles, but I use it for some things. I also find it very important that normally games are made in engines like Unity or Godot, which are like these huge like software packages where you have to open everything in them and they have like assets and everything like this. So my games are not that, they are open source often, or like will be, and so they are just text files. And I find it important. I also find it important that it's not in C++, but it's in Dart, which is much more friendly and approachable for a normal person. So I try to have the game written in a way that possibly someone can understand, and not just me. And also, I'm learning stuff from the game that I can then use in my contract work, where, you know, like, because if you're working on a game in Flutter and Dart, then you probably have to deal with some, for example, performance issues that you can then bring to the app table.
Makes sense. Thank you so much, Filip.
Thank you.
Everybody, Filip Hráček.
Thank you.